everyone. Welcome to another edition of Metis Warrior here with Timothy and Alexandra.
Hello, everybody.
And we have quite an interesting show for you today. You're going to want to watch it from beginning to end. And a lot that we're going to talk about today. But one of the things that we want to talk about is the mass graves of the children that's been found that obviously died at the hands of not only the Catholic Church, but also the Canadian federal government, the colonial system. So when you look at how many kids there are that have been found to date, and you look at the fact that they were just killed, the Catholic Church may put out information that they died from this cause or that cause, but a lot of these children were actually died at the hands of the Catholic Church in the residential that were running residential schools and the Canadian government. So let's keep that in mind.
And you know, folks, really the word that comes to mind, and it is genocide. There's no other way that you can describe the horrific atrocities that occurred. I certainly am not proud to be Canadian. I am Indigenous, and I feel for the great loss that occurred to so many individuals right across Canada. Very, very horrific. And as of June 23rd, there was 1,323 children or mass graves that were uncovered. 215 in Kamloops, BC, 104 in Brandon, Manitoba, 38 Regina, Saskatchewan, 35 in Lestock, Saskatchewan, 180 in Carlisle. But the most horrific to date is 751 in Cowessess, Saskatchewan, and I just can't wrap my head around of the atrocities that happened at the hands of the Catholic Church and the Canadian government. And in my mind, blame goes hand in hand because both knew exactly what was going on, and it just makes me sick. And this is worldwide news now, folks. It's just not being kept within the borders of Canada. The whole world is seeing this unfold, and this is really just the beginning, folks. And I ask that everybody show kindness as everybody is grieving on their own levels. Reach one of the 1-800 numbers. We'll put that in the show as well. If you're not feeling well, if you need to speak to somebody, because everybody grieves on their own level. And again, it's hit so many so hard, and if it hasn't affected you, then I really don't know what to say. But in my personal opinion, Canada Day celebrations coming on July 1st should be cancelled. That's my opinion. It should be a day of reflection, a day of mourning for all those lost souls that were murdered, raped, abused at the hands of the Catholic Church and hand in hand with the Canadian government.
Now that goes into some allegations that's being made right now against two people in the Metis Nation. Two people are basically accused of doing similar acts against children, not resulting in murder, but however resulting in rape, sexual assault, and abuse. We have a lot of information regarding these two individuals at this point. We are not releasing it because there is stuff going on in the background where people are actually heavily looking at this. And what I want to say is this: there is no place in Canada for a pedophile or someone that abuses children. I want to put that out there, and I'm pretty sure once this becomes public, at least one of these individuals will be packing up and leaving Canada. That's what I assume is going to happen. That is what the indication is. So because they would know it'd be very difficult for them to stay in a country where they have basically been outed as a pedophile. And so that goes hand in hand with what we just told you, with the abuse of the children and these mass graves being found. And a lot of people are supporting a pedophile. Some of the people don't know that the individual is a pedophile. And it's two individuals that the allegations are actually against at this point, where people are coming out of the woodworks. And like I say, there's a lot going on in the background. But a handful of you that are supporting these people actually are aware of what happened. And that is a shame. And so we will be keeping you up to date as the events unfold. But right now, what we want to do is go into a post that Will Goodon made. This is a separate issue. So we want to talk about a post that Will Goodon made where he posted on his Facebook wall a couple of updates on Métis politics for those watching. The supposed meeting today called by the Tri-Council is postponed by the courts. Second, since all they needed was allegations to condemn the national president, I look forward to McCollum, Froth, and Smith to demand Porcher step down as a head of MNAA because of the serious allegations against her. Now, yeah, it has been postponed, folks. It was postponed. However, it is going to happen. There is going to be an MNC interim president, and that is happening within the next 2 weeks here. We know that for a fact. And so, you know, and it's a damn shame the tactics that people play to stop the Board of Governors meetings and to stop the right thing from being done within the MNC.
And folks, if like Timothy was going into, if you've been following what's happening with Métis across Canada, the Métis National Council Board of Governors meeting that was originally scheduled for June 22nd, and this is the key word, has been postponed. So we know how Will Goodon likes to stir the pot and run around with half-truths, but he doesn't post the whole truth. And it's been postponed pending the hearing of a court hearing in the coming weeks. And the leadership of the Métis Nation of Alberta, Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, Métis Nation British Columbia, and the Métis Nation of Ontario look forward to getting a long-awaited Board of Governors meeting pending the outcome of the court hearing, and it'll give them the opportunity to address many outstanding governance and other matters, including the scheduling of the MNC General Assembly and the election of a new MNC president. And a lot of you may or may not know this, the MNC Board of Governors has not properly convened since, and wait for it, July 2018. And
this is the press release you're reading?
I'm reading the press release, yes. And really, the Tri-Council, the 4 of the 5 Métis governments feel that it's completely unacceptable. Well, as a Métis citizen, it's completely unacceptable. Yes. Why would you not have it? Why are you hiding since 2018? What are you hiding? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, they're hiding the fact that, well, there's a lot of people nervous. They're nervous about a new interim president taking over the MNC for a lot of reasons. And there's already a lot of things going on, that we just can't talk about right now.
Well, that's right.
And but we are aware of a lot of things going on. And a lot of stuff will come to light after the new interim president takes over the MNC. So, you know, with that being said, it's a little frustrating for us that we can't talk about a lot of the things that we know are happening in the background right now. But, yeah,
and then
there's stuff going on.
There's a lot of stuff going on. And people have to realize that there is no MNC without the governing members, and we are responsible to the citizens that elected us for the operation of the MNC. And they had a court hearing that took place on Monday, June 21st, to discuss the legal action commenced by Clement Chartier and other actions Chartier took as MNC president. So there was no decision made, and the judge directed the hearing, another hearing, to be set in July to fully resolve the issues.
Right, and man, I mean, a lot of you that's been out there on Facebook supporting certain people, I would really watch who you publicly supporting right now, for the simple fact that you do not know what all is about to come out. You know, when we get a new interim president, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be revealed. a lot of changes that's about to take place. And instead of rushing out to publicly defend people, what I would do is hold off until you actually know the full story on a lot of things that's going on right now within the Métis Nation. Now, again, one of the things that we want to talk about, what you got right there?
What I want this will lead into this segment of the show, and this drives me nuts, and it drives a lot of Métis people nuts. And this was posted by MMF Minister Will Goodon.
Hold on, before you talk about that, I want to just stress that Will Goodon is a public figure. Will Goodon is a politician. He holds a seat in the MMF. He is a minister. He's supposed to represent fair and equally all the Métis people in Manitoba, if they agree with him or don't agree with him. But clearly, nepotism is in play, and we got a lot of examples of that. And also, he likes to control the narrative about what's being told about him. What we were putting out here is facts. This is stuff that he himself has posted. This is factual, folks. And we got every right to cover it as the leading Métis media outlet out there.
And I shake my head a lot because when I see a lot of this, and I'm going to call it propaganda, that's my opinion, it certainly is propaganda. And he goes on to say, this drives me nuts. An individual cannot call themselves Métis without asking us. You've got
Ain't that a bunch of bullshit?
The audacity to be a supreme, all-knowing being that somebody has to go and ask you guys, meaning Goodon.
Did he invent the word Métis? Hell no.
Well, you know what? Whatever comes out of his mouth is absolutely shocking. It boggles my mind that he's out there spewing this propaganda all over social media. And there's a lot of dedicated, maybe a select group that fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. And it seems whatever he says is word, folks.
Yeah, no, it's a bunch of bullshit, because the reality is that if you're a Métis, you're a Métis. You damn sure don't need Will Goodon's permission. You don't need Clem Chartier's permission. You damn sure don't need David Chartrand's permission to call yourself what you are, which is Métis. I mean, that's arrogance and vanity at the highest point, is the way that we see it in our opinion.
And you know what, folks? Further to that note as well.
But hold on. Yeah, I don't know if he's going into this, but because he doesn't. Do they even know what Métis is? Because here's the thing. All right, go ahead, read that.
What I was going to go into, and there's just so many things to cover, and we're just doing a quick snapshot. And he was having a debate with somebody over Sault Ste. Marie and Pauli. And this is the misinformation that he's feeding people out there that maybe don't really genuinely know, and they want to learn, they want education. So an individual was asking about Sault Ste. Marie and the Paulis. The Supreme Court of Canada said that Sault Ste. Marie was a Métis community. And here, Will Goodon, the individual, said, are you saying Pauli isn't Métis or from a Métis community? And Will Goodon chimed in, yep. So Will Goodon is saying that the Paulis are not Métis.
He doesn't even know what Métis is.
Well, Sault Ste. Marie is not considered a Métis community. And in the Pauli ruling, and you'll see that, we'll show that throughout the show, the Pauli ruling, Clem Chartier was an attorney in that case. So we had Jean Tayet and Clem Chartier that were lawyers on the Pauli ruling. Now, all of a sudden, Will Goodon is getting on top of his buffalo, and he's saying that Pauli isn't Métis and Sault Ste. Marie isn't a Métis community. So they fight for it, and then when it suits their narrative, all of a sudden, they're not Métis. And I just gotta wrap my head around, but I'll let Timothy sort of comment on that, because I've got another one that the other one should be the fact that what he says is the Métis does not mean mixed. Good God, folks, Will Goodon has lost it on the meaning of Métis. He does not understand what Métis is, yet you need his permission to call you Métis. Look at your screen right there and go ahead and read that. Well, this is Will Goodon They aren't Métis, Tony. Métis does not mean mixed. I'm going to tell you something, Will Goodon, and everybody out there that follows him. Métis people did not beam down from a UFO, a spaceship from outer space, and become Métis. Shame on you, Will Goodon. I know you're a descendant of Cuthbert Grant Jr. as well, and Cuthbert Grant Jr. is a product of a mix, Scottish and Indigenous. So are you now saying, Will Goodon, that you're not Métis or you don't exist? How do you become Métis if you're not mixed? That boggles my mind.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows that he has no idea. I mean, he's given two examples, the Pally case and then the fact that he don't think Métis is mixed. I mean, good guy. And so, you know... And the problem that I have, too, is he supports people that write Métis books that ain't even Métis, and yet he wants to attack other indigenous Métis authors who are indigenous, who are Métis. And so I'm not going to go too much into that, but I want to go to the fact that he obviously is posted things that shows that he has no understanding of what Métis is. Folks, if you're Métis, you are damn sure mixed. I mean, what else would you call it?
And you know, folks, it really, this was a response to what Will Goodon's saying, that Métis are not mixed. And I believe in this person's response, and I'm going to read it. Those who fall in line receive benefits such as speaking engagements, media celebrity, probably tenure track position, professional contracts, while those who disagree are threatened, silenced, doxxed, shamed, and blacklisted. Even elders and knowledge keepers aren't protected. So this is a minister that is supposed to represent the MMF and its citizens all over social media. And again, despite the fact that Jean Tayet was the lawyer on record in the president-setting recognition of the historic community of Sault Ste. Marie Pauli 2003, and now the Métis exclusionists are now rejecting of the existence of this community and its Métis Nation of Ontario citizens. So Clem Chartier, Jean Tayet were involved in they were lawyers on this, and now in 2021, all of a sudden, it doesn't suit the narrative, and now they are not Métis.
Yeah.
So you are, you aren't, and
yeah. I mean, what kind of crazy crap is that? I mean, I don't understand. I just don't understand how you can go to a court, claim the Métis rights for Pally, claim that, fight for that, and then turn around and say, oh, he ain't Métis. So I don't understand that at all, because does that mean that they lied in court? Is that what that means, that they stood up in court and they lied originally? I mean, what was the motivation to even do that if you're going to turn around later and say, oh, Pally ain't Métis?
Yeah, but it's using the colonial system to your own ends. You use the colonial system, and then when you don't need it anymore, he goes on to say that who determines who is Métis, a colonial court or the Métis Nation itself? Well, in 2003, you used the colonial court. But now
they've been using the colonial court all the time. They use it for every damn thing. Look at the case of the suspended president from the MNBC. Right, it skipped the whole indigenous process, the whole Métis process. It skipped the Senate and went straight to the colonial system, but then wants to attack. This is weird, man. This is weird on all levels. Just strange, and it doesn't make any sense to me, these statements. Now, we tried to, a lot of people don't know, Alexandria is related to Will Goodon. And so, you know, we had hopes for Will Goodon. But when he's out there posting this kind of stuff, it makes zero sense to us. And it shows that he doesn't have the understanding of what Métis is, but he thinks he's the only person who can. You got to get his permission. You have to go to Chartier or Goodon to call yourself Métis. And this makes no sense, man. Will, we had hopes for you, and we really thought that you would make a change and do the right thing, since you know, basically, you're aware of some of the things that's unfolding in the Métis Nation.
And you know, the interesting fact talking about, we all know that Minister Goodon is dead set against anybody in the East. They don't exist in his mind. They're not Métis. But I'm going to read a little quick blurb to you about my own family. And this is historical documentation that I can prove that my own family went between the West and the East. So is that saying that half of my family doesn't exist?
People can't move. So let's say they move and they have children in the East. Does that mean that because they moved, they're not Métis?
Well, that means half your family isn't Métis, and half is. So,
oh my God.
And then this is about my own family, and it said the David family is a great example of such mobility and diversity at the core of Métis people. Originally from Red River, with Madeleine David taking a half-breed script and marrying Andre Gaudry, the Davids did not hesitate to split the nuclei of their family when Joseph David, the brother of Madeleine, decided to settle in the Utuas region next to another Métis family whose members also traveled between the West and Quebec on multiple occasions. The Pauls, my family, the Pauls. Interesting, Pierre Paul is most likely the same individual who, accompanied by his famous father, Joseph Paul, and he's known as the strongest man in the Northwest, was involved in fur wars when they were captured north of Lake Winnipeg in 1819 by the men of the Hudson Bay Company. And clearly, Métis families were moving and settling in both eastern and western regions of Canada. And this is from Romley, 1980, volume 2, page 240. That's the historical reference. So it shows you that Métis people are nomads. They move and settle in both eastern and western regions of Canada. So are you telling me that half my Paul family that settled in eastern Canada are not to be considered Métis? Is that what you're saying?
Now, for all the people that like to twist things, let's understand this. Alexandria is a descendant of Cuthbert Grant Jr. Let's understand that. So she is a relative of Cuthbert Grant Jr. She is a Red River Métis. And so we want to make that 100% clear, because there is those people that get out there and claim to know people's genealogy. And again, Will Goodon is related to Alexandria. And so it's just weird that people just don't have the capability of understanding that if somebody moves, that doesn't mean that they are not Métis. If they move and settle somewhere else and have children, then that doesn't mean that. I mean, we got this stupid blob of a map that somebody created, and it's just a bunch of BS that's put out there. This is all about the money, and to that point, we will find out just how much about the money, and how much, if any misappropriations have been done within the MNC. There's a lot I can't talk about right now, but go ahead.
And talking about the fake blue blob map, and you'll see this throughout the show, and it was posted November 28th, 2018, and it was said, historic day at the General Assembly of the Métis Nation. We now have an approved map of the Métis Nation homeland. Well, who approved this map? Who made the map up? This has been a long time coming. I'm so proud to have seconded this motion. And this is Will Goodon. The source is Will Goodon, Minister of Housing and Property, Southwest Region. He's the individual that seconded this motion to bring this fake blue blob map into existence in 2018, folks.
Yeah, and so let's understand that blob is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. So what I want to move on to right now is Brandon, Manitoba, the Home Depot incident. So let's talk about that, because we have an Indigenous woman who is inside the Home Depot. And I want people to understand this. Some people out there have medical conditions that prevent them from being able to wear a mask, such as some cases of asthma. But there is other medical conditions as well that do not require them to have a mask to go and live their daily life. And they're not going to walk around holding their medical record. But this Indigenous woman was actually photographed by Will Goodon in the Brandon, Manitoba Home Depot, and actually there was an attempt made to shame her on his Facebook wall. Now, this is very disappointing, because again, as a minister in the MMF, he should be supporting Indigenous and Métis people, not attacking Indigenous Métis people. Will Goodon's got it twisted. You see, once you're representing a group of people, those people can complain about you and your actions, but you don't in turn sit there and complain and try to insult and shame people on your Facebook wall. That is not a proper leader, folks. That is not how this goes. But go ahead.
And you know what? In the times of great grief and sorrow with all the findings at the residential schools across Canada, you have a so-called minister that is creating his own drama against an Indigenous woman without portraying the full facts. And like Timothy said, there's a lot of medical conditions that warrant that you do not have to wear a mask, facial coverings. It's not up to him to take it upon himself, and we'll post the screenshot, but I want you to notice how the story is not really true in what he says.
And I want you to notice how we're going to post a picture of the lady too, because we want her to become aware that he's actually posting her picture on Facebook and you know,
shaming her.
Yeah, and attempts to shame her. But if you notice in the picture, it's a full body shot. It's not just showing that she don't have a mask. This is a full body shot of the woman. So he says he took the picture in order to show that she wasn't wearing a mask. Is that the real reason he took the picture?
Well, he goes in, and you can read it yourself, and the key part is that he was buying paint, and here's the key word. He was standing behind a woman who was also getting paint. And he said, I thought something was off but couldn't figure it out. Then I remembered I could see her face. She wasn't wearing a mask. And you'll see in the picture, again, Timothy said, it's a full body shot. So if you're standing behind a woman getting paint, I'm to assume that maybe you're at the till going to pay for it, or maybe there's a lineup at the paint department. But look at the full body shot that Will Goodon has posted. It doesn't look like, to me, I don't know if she's not standing in line or whatever. I don't see her doing anything, and he's got to do a full body shot.
Full body shot. They're claiming it's to show that there's no mask on the woman.
Wouldn't you just do the facial part?
Yeah, couldn't you do it above
that?
the waist? I mean, what's the point of the whole body shot? That's what we're wondering. I mean, why take the whole body shot?
And then he goes on near the bottom of what you'll read, and she left. I took a picture and thought I recognized her. So you're saying that the manager asked her to wait outside and she left. And you're telling the people that you took a picture. Well, it looks like the picture you took, she was in an aisle of the store department, not outside the store leaving. So you're misleading people in your post there that it says...
And we can only go by what we see in the picture here. He's saying one thing. He's saying that she's leaving, but however... He said as she was leaving, he was taking the picture. Look at the picture carefully. I don't see a door there, do you?
No, she's standing actually right beside the paint tools.
Yeah, so he's photographing this Indigenous woman, and it damn sure does not look like she's leaving.
There's no door. She's stationary. She's just standing there stationary in the aisle that says paint tools. So I don't see an exit or a sign that says exit there.
The point is, Will, why would you bash an Indigenous or Métis individual on your Facebook wall? That is not proper ethics and morals in a leadership position. You don't do that. Your people who are members, who are citizens of the MMF, have every right to complain about what you're doing, what you're saying. There's every right to complain about that. But you do not have a right to bash people on social media. You should really change your approach and what you're doing to the citizens. Clem Chartier is done in the MNC. He's done walked down that path, like Sid said, and so did David Chartrand, like Sid said in our last show, that they can't not turn around and come back up that path and right any wrongs at this point because they're so far gone. Will, you still have the ability to do the right things and to change and actually start doing things appropriately. And one thing you have to do is get rid of the damn nepotism. Because, yeah, there is absolute nepotism there. And we can point that out if you want us to point out the whole list of nepotism that's out there. And you know it. And so I'm just not happy with the way that Will Goodon is attacking people on social media. Will, did you ask the woman if she had a medical condition? Did the manager of the store ask the woman if she had a medical condition? Store owners and store managers are aware that people can come into their stores if they have a medical condition that prevents them from wearing a mask. That is none of your business what her medical condition is. But however, if the store manager wanted to ask the question, they could absolutely ask the question. If somebody has asthma, they would have an inhaler on them. Maybe she had an inhaler. Maybe she has some severe asthma. There's other conditions as well that prevent people from wearing a mask. That don't mean we turn around and bash these people on social media.
And you know, one of the very ignorant, insensitive comments that was posted under Will Goodon's post about this woman is saying that maybe she forgot her pants at home to wear her pants. I mean, this is the kind of people that gravitate to Will Goodon, and I think we
have all the comments.
Well, we got all the comments, and I mean,
we're not going to put them up because we don't like doing that. We talk about political leaders and people in politics and people that are running Metis organizations or sitting on the board of Metis organizations. So we don't like actually showing or going after, so to speak, people to make comments on social media, because that's not what we're about. We're trying to show love and compassion for our Métis brothers and sisters, and we have every right to complain about the political leaders.
And again, it really must have been a slow day in Métis world for Will Goodon that he had to create his own drama. And in my opinion, he's just a shit disturber. He likes to stir the pot. He likes to slam people. But I would really...
I thought they called him the propaganda machine.
Well, he's a propaganda puppet. He's really the propaganda puppet. And I really think it's scary when a person that holds a leadership position of minister doesn't even know what the word Métis is. We are mixed, and we didn't drop from the sky. We weren't beamed down from a UFO.
But he can always ask us. Like, if he's confused about what a Métis is, Will, you're invited. You can ask us. You can come on to the show. We can discuss it. We will invite you to the show to discuss what Métis is, and we can help inform you on exactly what Métis is, because you know in your genealogy you are indeed related to Alexandria. And so the thing is, if you're having a hard time, and we're saying if you're having a hard time, which gauging by your Facebook post, you're having a hard time understanding what Métis is, we would be happy to explain that to you.
And again, my genealogy is rock solid, ironclad. There's just no ways to about it. And you might notice in his genealogy that overlaps with mine, Quebec comes up quite a bit. And it might be interesting to note, and you'll see this in your own, you can take it and look at it more deeply at your leisure. It was a Canada 1891 census, and you'll see that. And it's quite interesting in this 1891 census that Joseph Riel, Julie Riel, and you'll see that they're listed as white French Canadian. So,
what the hell? So you don't go by a census report. We know that the colonial governments will list people however they want to list them. And as Alexandria just said, Rial was listed as a white person. And so let's understand that you cannot go by a census report. You cannot even go by MMF report. You cannot go by David Chartrand, Will Goodon, or Clem Chartier as to who is Métis or what is the definition of that. Because once you see a Facebook post that says, hey, Métis does not mean mixed, I mean, good God. I don't know what would go through your mind to put up there that, you know, Métis is not mixed. I think everybody listening to this show knows damn well that Métis is mixed. There's no way you can be Métis if you're not mixed.
We are certainly mixed with something, like I said, again. And you know, the scary part that bothers me is I think to our youth, the youth that is the future of Métis people, that this fake propaganda, this lateral damage, lateral violence, the youth are seeing this, they're reading this, they're being steered down the wrong path, where these individuals that are supposed to have leadership qualities, and they certainly do not have leadership qualities, are out there on social media spewing this propaganda out there. I guess they've got nothing better to do to share, hatred, racism all over, and they have their same dedicated group of little groupies that are shrinking day by day.
Chapstick groupies.
That's right. That are gonna, doesn't matter what
Let's
they say.
Let's kiss them up. Yeah, the chapstick groupies out there. I mean, it's ridiculous that no matter what these people say, they'll support them. They could say they could say it's daytime when it's nighttime, and these people will say, "Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that." I mean, we read these comments, they get sent to us, and we get bombarded with the same stuff that's sent, and it's kind of like we were in disbelief when we see some of this stuff that people are saying out there. Like, no matter what they say, there's people that are just going to follow them. And it's going to be very interesting after the revelations come out, after the new interim president takes over the MNC, all the information that's about to be released. Where are these few people going to go then? They're damn sure, I don't believe, will be publicly supporting some people out there. And again, like I said, there's still hope for Will. Will can still change his ways. Will can change, because let me tell you something. We don't like Audrey Porteous. We agree 100% with Will Goodon about Audrey Porteous. It absolutely destroys me to say that we agree with Will Goodon about Audrey Porteous. There's a huge problem in the Métis Nation of Alberta. And when we first got the press release from the Tri-Council about, the whole thing being postponed, and we see Audrey's name in there, I mean, it did not excite me to want to put out the press release, because there's so many people complaining about Audrey, and we know that there's some severe issues out there, but we know people can change. So Audrey Porteous can change, and on that same tone, so can Will Goodon. Will Goodon can make a change for the better and come and start supporting the Indigenous and Métis people. Now, let me explain something to you. When you get the new interim MNC president, this is our word that we're going to give you. Grievance procedures will be put into place, and people will be able to express their concerns, express their complaints, and have them addressed. And if that does not happen, we want fair and equal treatment. We believe that it's going to happen with the new interim MNC president. And everybody who's asking us to do shows on Alberta, asking us to do shows on Saskatchewan, we ask that you be patient. And I want to do a confession out there. You hear a lot of times about stories, and you wonder why the media is not covering the stories, right? The media never comes out and addresses why they're not covering it. We're going to tell you, we intentionally delaying stories on Alberta and Saskatchewan for the simple fact that we understand and believe that after the new interim president comes in, that there will be grievance procedures in, and that things will be made to flow, and it's going to change for the better. Now, people can say we're burying these stories, like we just don't want to cover them. No, we're delaying the stories because we do know the problems that's in this, and we hear that some of the elected people in Saskatchewan were not allowed to take their seats. This is, again, stuff that's been put out there. However, when we approached these people, they did not tell us that. They did not tell us that they were not able to take their seats. They actually told us that, yeah, they're in these positions. And so they gave us no complaint about Saskatchewan. Okay, but we do have citizens complaining about Saskatchewan. We do have citizens complaining about Alberta. And we want everybody to know that your grievances and voices and concerns will be heard, and you just have to wait. If you've been screwed over for decades now by Metis organizations, what is a couple more weeks to wait until grievance procedures be put in place so that your voice can be heard, your complaint can be heard and dealt with accurately? So that is why we're delaying the story. No, we're not burying stories. We're delaying stories because we have hope in the change that's going to come.
And folks, to kind of end this show, a lot of you people may not realize, and I'll put a portion of it and you can go and look at it yourself. This is not the first time that Clement Chartier has been chastised, and I'll refer to a publication that came out in 1986, and Clement Chartier has been virtually stripped of all but his title as President of the World Council of Indigenous People. And Clem Chartier was relieved of his responsibilities by the Executive Council of the World Council of Indigenous People in Geneva, Switzerland, in an emergency meeting that was held March 7th to 8th, called specifically to discuss the issue. The Executive Council was reacting to Chartier's illegal entrance into Nicaragua in January. So this is an article that came out in 1986, where he was stripped of all but his title by an executive council in Geneva, Switzerland.
Technically, he's not even president of MNC. His term was appropriately up in 2020. Prior to that, he said he was stepping down. So, in 2020, your term's up, you're gone. There has to be a Board of Governors meeting. There has to be this change. And, Chartier is out of there. We know that. And again, you got anything else you want to cover?
No, like I said, again, folks, I want everybody to be kind to each other. People are grieving on their own levels. We all need support, healing, and more importantly, just listen. There's a lot of people that are going through so much, reliving the trauma, and we pray for the souls of those lost children that are coming to light. The truth always comes to light, and unfortunately there's just many more yet to come. And again,
we know two individuals that have allegations against them as being pedophiles.
Absolutely, folks.
And so we will not mention their names in this show. However, the reason why we're not mentioning their names in this show, because there's a lot happening in the background right now. And there's a lot to come, and their names eventually will be released. And we've heard at least one of them is planning on leaving Canada because they see no place for themselves in Canada after they're exposed as a pedophile. Now again, we're not saying who this is, where they're located at in Canada, only that they're involved in the Metis Nation at this point. So again, that could be anybody. They could be a citizen, a leader, or whatever. But we're not going to mention who it is, what their status is, until everything is actually ready for us to release the show. And that's what we're waiting on. We're waiting just like you. We know a little bit more than you because people have actually talked to us. But we have to do this to follow the definite steps that need to happen first.
So, folks, keep waiting, keep listening, because there's just so much more to come down the pipeline, and the truth always surfaces. You can only suppress the truth so long, and a lot of these leaders that should not be leaders, they're lateral damage, lateral violence, publicly shaming individuals all over social media. It has to stop. They have to be held accountable, transparent to their citizens, and again, be kind, be gentle to everybody out there, folks.
Again, citizens have a right to complain about people that sit on the board and against people in leadership positions. But those people that sit on the boards and in leadership positions should not complain or try to intimidate or shame citizens at all. I mean, and people need to be educated on what proper leadership ethics and morals is. But that's it for me.
Take care, folks.